Joined now, of course, by Sean Casey, host of the Mayor's Office podcast and the Yankees' former hitting coach. Sean, always great to see you. Despite taking 2 or 3 from the Orioles this afternoon, game was a tough one. What do you take away from the weekend set down in Baltimore?
Well, you know what, Moose? I think you're trying to get series wins, and anytime it's against a team like the Orioles, where you're, battling for the East, you come out of there with 2 out of 3, you'll take it. Do you want the sweep? Yeah. Did you have the sweep? Yeah, it was a great game. It was a back-and-forth game. Rice puts them up by a couple in the 9th, and they weren't able to hold on. But if I'm walking out of there with Aaron Boone, Brian Cashman, Judgy, and those guys, I'm happy we got 2 out of 3.
Bullpen, do you think is something that needs to be addressed by Cashman at the MLB trade deadline?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, for all teams, the bullpen is always something you can address and always get better at, and the Yankees are no different. I mean, I think Cash will probably look to, maybe get an arm or two that can definitely solidify that for the second half of the year. But I think all teams are looking for bullpen help, and the Yankees, could use another arm.
All right, 2 players, Volpe and Verdugo. They had 2 defensive miscues in the 9th. Volpe, the local kid playing shortstop, clearly having a rough stretch right now. How do you think he'll handle the adversity here going forward?
You know what? I think right here he just kind of lets the ball play him a little bit. I think Volpe is a very aggressive person as far as playing shorty. I think he's the best in the game. And sometimes when you're playing out there, you get into slumps just like you get into hitting slumps. And Verdugo right there just had a bad read, kind of came in on it, lost his balance going back. Moose, at the end of the day, brother, being around the block long enough to know this stuff happens. It's just part of the game, and it's part of the deal. You play 162 games, you're going to make plays that win you games, and not make plays that cost you games. And that's kind of what happened today at the end. But at the end of the day, you want to talk about the best shortstop in the game. I think Volpe's still the best defensive player.
All right, Sean, I want to take you back to Friday night. Clay Holmes hits Heston Kjerstad in the head. Things escalated. Orioles manager Brandon Hyde ejected. What do you make of his reaction?
Well, 0-2 pitch, 1 out in the 9th. Obviously.
He's not trying to hit him, Sean. He's not trying to hit him.
Everyone knows that, and I think Brandon Hyde's just fired up. I don't know. It looks like somebody said something to him in the dugout or whatever. Casey Dykes comes flying out. It was just kind of crazy there. But, I just think, hey, tensions are high. I mean, this is a rivalry. And this is a legit rivalry, especially the last couple years with Baltimore kind of taking over the East and the Yankees now trying to take it back. There's a little bit of a good rivalry there. So, I think Hyde, escalated it, no doubt about it. But, no one got hurt. Luckily, Kjerstad's not hurt. Holmes felt bad about it, and, we move on.
All right, Juan Soto still having issues with his hand. The test came back negative, but you can tell he's struggling a little bit. Big home run, though, on Saturday. Do you think that Soto should be playing in the All-Star game down in Arlington?
Well, you know what? I think, Moose, it doesn't really matter what I think. I think it matters how Soto feels. And I think if he's, not feeling 100%, I think he's going to probably think twice about, having those days off, because at this point right here, having a few days off in a row could be huge for Soto for the second half. So, but I think it'll be up to him. I think it'll be a day-to-day thing, and they'll I'm sure they'll talk to the trainers and Booney and those guys and get together and see, like, hey, maybe you just go to the All-Star game and enjoy it and you don't have to play.
Sean, one more on Soto I want to ask you. This is where I'll give him credit. You play in the majors, I didn't. Guys that wouldn't battle through injuries. Soto's looking to get paid after this season. I give him a ton of credit for playing through this, obviously a painful hand injury, and he's struggling a little bit, but give him credit for going out there and wanting to play every single day here for Boone and the Bombers.
Well, I think one thing about Soto, if you go back and look at his career, he's a guy that likes to play 162. I mean, he really does. He wants to be in there every day. And to play 162, Moose, even when you're banged up, you kind of play through it, because Juan Soto at 70% is better than most people in the league at 100. And he knows it. Booney knows it. So obviously, it's something he can play through, and, hopefully it does heal soon. But you do appreciate it for guys in that clubhouse, guys that are going out there to battle with him day in and day out. When you see him stepping up and being in that lineup, you appreciate it.
Sean, your first All-Star game was also one of the most memorable games ever played. 1999 Fenway Park, the Ted Williams pregame tribute. What were your biggest takeaways from that experience up in Beantown?
Wow, Moose, you're bringing back some good memories for me. I mean, I like to go down memory lane sometimes. That was 25 years ago, which is incredible. Seems like yesterday. But, I think Pedro starting, the all-century team to me was the biggest deal. When you're out on that field and you see Stan Musial and Hank Aaron and Willie Mays and George Brett and all these incredible, and Sosa, McGuire at the time, what they were doing for the game. And right there, the all-century team, it was incredible. I was out there. I was actually thinking, like, I wonder if they got it wrong. Like, how did I get here? I can't believe I'm on the field with these guys. But when Ted Williams came out, Moose, it was one of the coolest things ever. As we're walking up to Ted Williams to throw out the first pitch, I get a pat on my shoulder, man, and it's George Brett. He turns me around. He puts his hand out. He goes, "Hey, Sean, I just want to introduce myself. I'm George Brett. Really like your swing." And I was just literally speechless at the time. And one other cool story was interviewing Jeter on his last All-Star game. When I was with Greg Amsinger for the network, we asked Jeter, of all the things you've done, all the cool moments that you've had, the championships, what's the coolest moment you've ever had in the big leagues? And Jeter said, when at the '99 All-Star game, when we were walking up to the mound to throw out the pitch with Ted Williams, Hank Aaron put his hand on my shoulder and introduced himself to me and said, "Hey, Derek, just want to introduce myself, Hank Aaron." He said it was one of the coolest moments of his career. So funny looking back, Moose. I'm walking in from the National League side with Brett. Jeter's walking in with Hank Aaron. We're both walking up to Ted Williams. Just such a cool moment.
That's really cool. Next All-Star game was 2001 in Seattle. Last Midsummer Classic for both Cal Ripken Jr. and the great Tony Gwynn as well. What was that atmosphere like, especially when Ripken hit that home run?
It was really cool. It was really, really cool. Again, when Ripken went deep off, there I am right there in the background.
There you are.
Yeah, when Ripken went deep, that was off Chan-Ho Park. That was really cool.
That was a cookie, Sean. That was a cookie.
Hey, Moose, listen, you can give anybody, if I threw you a cookie right now, could you hit it out of the
park?
No,
I could not, but I didn't play in the majors.
It's tough to do. I love it. Everybody was like, "Hey, he threw him a cookie." I was like, "You still have to hit it out of the park," even though he threw him a fastball right there. But I remember that I was in Tony Gwynn's hitting group too, and Tony Gwynn must have been so annoyed because I was picking his brain so bad. I'm like, "Hey, what about this? What about you do with the pitch down and away?" And it was kind of cool. So that All-Star game was really awesome with Ichiro Mania out there in Seattle at the time. It was really neat.
All right, Sean, are you one of those guys that feel that with interleague play, the All-Star game has lost a lot of its luster?
I don't think so. I think baseball is getting better as far as the home run derby, the game, everything that they're doing. So I don't know. I think the stars are really bright right now in Major League Baseball, and I think I don't think that takes away any of the luster of the Midsummer Classic. I think it's still a sight to behold.
Next weekend, I'm jealous. You're going to be up in Cooperstown for the Hall of Fame inductions. Your former manager, Jim Leyland, is getting in, and rightfully so. What does Jim mean to you?
Really excited for Skip to go in. I grew up in Pittsburgh, grew up a Pirate fan watching him with these teams, and I was so fortunate in 2006 and 2007, got a chance to play for Leyland in Detroit. And, some of the best memories I have were that 06 run in the World Series. We lost to the Cardinals, but just to be with him and be around Jim Leyland, he's become a dear friend of mine, lives here in Pittsburgh too. And I am just so grateful that that Cooperstown and the voters got it right for Jim Leyland to be in the Cooperstown, because I just feel like he's one of the greatest managers this game's ever seen, and I'm going to be very thrilled to watch him go in along with Todd Helton and Joe Mauer next weekend.
And Leyland, an unbelievable baseball man, and nobody smoked a heater in the dugout better than Jim Leyland.
Nobody. He'd go down and just be ripping the heaters at an epic rate. I'm like, this guy is going to go down. He's on his third pack.
Sean, tell us where you can get the podcast. It's a great listen.
Oh, yeah. You know what, Moose? Yeah, you can go to your wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple. We're also on YouTube. Got our own YouTube channel, YouTube Shorts and all that stuff. So check it out. We're 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, at the mayor's office. And it's a good listen, Moose.
It is. Listen to it every week. Sean, appreciate the time as always. Have yourself a great week, and we'll talk to you again next Sunday, all right?
You too, brother. Thanks a lot, man. And you're looking great with that white shirt and the white shoes, Moose.
My wife dresses me every week. That's basically how it goes.
She's doing something right, dude. She's doing something right.
Sean, we'll talk to you next week.